I found a quiet little town, but I could never find it again. I was driving through the countryside on a road trip with some friends. We had been on the road for months, and my GPS, which I was using to navigate, suddenly glitched out. The next thing I knew, we were off the beaten path and lost. But it was at that moment I saw a sign that read Elmridge, population 183. So we figured we'd check it out. As we got closer, we started seeing these quaint homes with well-kept lawns and friendly people waving at us from their porches. We followed the road until we saw a diner with a neon open sign out front. My friends and I walked in and sat down. It was the kind of place where everyone knew your name and the coffee was always hot. There was a jukebox in the corner playing old country tunes. And as I sat there sipping my coffee, I noticed something strange. All of the menu items had prices except for the daily special. Instead, it said, "Pay what you feel." I couldn't help but smile. We talked for hours, just taking in the peaceful atmosphere. And when we finally decided to leave, we thanked the locals for the wonderful hospitality. But that's when things got really strange. We got back in our car and turned the key in the ignition. As we pulled out onto the main road, I turned to the locals and asked them how to get back to the diner. They all just looked at each other and smiled. One of them finally said, "You'll leave when it's time." And before I could ask any more questions, they all started to walk away. When we got back on the main road, I tried to use my GPS to get back to Elmridge, but it wasn't working. I pulled out my map to see if I could find it that way, but it wasn't there either. I even went as far as to pull over and call the police to see if they could help me find it, but they told me that there were no records of a town by that name. I looked back at my friends, and they were just as confused as I was. We ended up driving around for hours before we finally found a place that looked familiar. And when we stopped and asked for directions, the locals told us about a town that sounded exactly like the one I had described. But when we got there was no sign of life, no houses, no people, nothing. I got back in my car and drove the same road again last week. I was hoping to find the town again, but no such luck. I did see the diner lights in the distance, but when I blinked, it was gone. There are some places in this world that are just meant to be found, and if you do, don't expect to find your way back. So would you stop in a town that's not on any map?